Hi and welcome to Conversations with Calvin. In this video blog I want to talk about the content that colleges offer and the quality of the lecturers. Now, just to put it a little bit in perspective, I'm focusing more on the graphic design courses and the AutoCAD courses, especially in the architectural and engineering environment or industries. What I'd like us to chat about is, as I've been teaching the programs or specialist software programs, it's become very important that students actually go to the working environment or get a job and then be able to be very good technicians. In other words, know the specialist software very well, because that's the way they're going to progress up in the company, as they know the software very well. So for example, if you're in the architectural industry, before you can become an architect, you're going to start off as a draftsperson. So you need to know how to use and do drawings on AutoCAD, both 2D and 3D. And it's the same with graphic design. You're not going to start as a graphic designer if you don't know the Adobe programs very well. So what I want to focus on is that I still believe that in colleges there is not a good content offered and not good lecturing offered. And let me tell you why. Not just because of my 7 years experience teaching at colleges and getting to the point where I was so frustrated that I started my own college because the solutions were just not forthcoming. So just to put you a little bit in perspective of my view of why do I say that there's a problem with content and lecturers, is because they do, let's say if we're talking about graphic design and even a design content like architectural and whether it's interior design or engineering, the thing is that you're going to have to start off by teaching the students very practically how to use the specialist software program, because when they do the internships, that's when the real studying is going to start, as they apply what they've learned practically at the company. You see, then after college they can always go study further and study for a degrees course in engineering or architectural or even graphic design and take it really further so that they can get into an ad agency. Because how many people that leave college when they've done graphic design actually get into ad agencies? No, it's then as if there has to be further study. So what I would like to say is that the content that the colleges offer, it can really be taught in 6 months if you've got a dedicated lecturer, because colleges spend so much time on theory and books and teaching you the theory of design and the theory part, and then writing tests and then invigilating tests, and then the classroom has about 20 to 30 people. And how can the lecturer give attention to every single person? And just as soon as he's lectured one graphic design, say Illustrator course or AutoCAD course, then half of the students don't attend, and then there's almost got to be a repetition. So, after 6 months or even a year, the student hasn't really got to grips with the specialist software programs. And that is why in my classes I make sure that they learn with a lecturer in a week. You have at least 4 to 6 hours of actual lecturing training, which they can go and practice on their laptops at home, so that within 6 months, if you do that consistently over 6 months, they can then take their knowledge in the Adobe products and AutoCAD and SolidWorks and whatever they've learned in terms of the software. Then they can go and apply it at the company, and then really the learning would start. So I would say that it's very difficult in terms of the college structures these days for there to be continual lecture time and to almost guarantee that the students are up to date with their projects and the software that they learn. Because a lot of the times you would think that the projects that they get at college is to apply their lecturing or their knowledge of the programs practically. But when the lecturer gives a project and say hand it in 2 weeks later, how do they know that that project was done by that student? Students go and they get their friends to do it and to help them. So when the testing really happens, when I test students today, and I put them in front of the computer and I say to them, now do the AutoCAD, do the Illustrator, do the Photoshop, the level or the quality is so poor. Because there are many times at the colleges they are left to learn it themselves and to hand in projects which that they could have just taken off the internet. So it's very important in terms of the quality of the student when he leaves college is the content has to be quality content and relevant content, and the training has to be by the best lecturers. And the quality of the content is really when you do a 6-month, and not a month internship, but a 6-month internship. And I would say you from 4 to 6 month internship and spread it over 2 companies for at least 2 to 3 months at a company. So that the students get exposed to the different culture and content of 2 different companies in the same industry. Because if they go to one architect and they go to a different architect, the architect's workforce and culture and the type of work they do would differ. Some architects might do residential properties, the other plans, the other architect might do mall developments or commercial developments. And so in every industry it's best to be exposed to 2 different companies, because that's when the learning and that helps you in terms of getting the content right. And that's how I help my students expand on what's relevant in the industry and to increase their content knowledge. In terms of the lecturer, you can't just get a young lecturer. I look at these colleges and the lecturers are so young, they virtually got no experience. It's just like they got their degree and now they teach. To me, nothing can take away from the knowledge of a lecturer that's been in the industry first for about 3 or 4 years. Fortunately, my lecturers are top of the class in terms of the experience they have in the industry. And because I do one-to-one training as well, my lecturers also train various staff members from various industries on AutoCAD and in terms of graphic design as well, all the Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign programs, so that they've got the different experience, whether it's the clothing in graphic design, whether they're coming from the clothing industry or they're coming from the printing industry, or they're coming from the media industry in terms of magazines and newspapers and adverts and brochures. They've got experience, and that all counts. So I'm very happy that myself, with all the experience I have in graphic design, spending most of my life at Media 24, I can impart that knowledge over to the young people. That's why I don't believe that a young student can really inspire a class of 20 students. When the group is relatively small and the lecturer has got experience, knowledge that they can impart, and the student can go for internships, that's when real learning happens. So I would say then that in the second year, a paid internship is important, and you can kickstart the student getting into the workplace so much sooner. Why should they only after 3 years of college start earning money? It can start happening in their second year. Okay, so really the role of the lecturer, because there's so much content available in terms of YouTube videos. I mean, if you want to learn about Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, AutoCAD, there's so many YouTube videos. So you need the experience of the lecturer to guide and to mentor and to say what's important, and because that lecturer knows all about graphic design. Being a computer technician is not enough, and then they call themselves graphic designers, but they've got no art background, no design background, and then they call themselves graphic designers just because they went onto a few YouTube videos understanding Photoshop and Illustrator, and they can work the programs. That's a technician. They're just getting themselves skilled as technician. The design learning part is when they do internships at a small ad agency or packaging design company or architectural company, because that architect will mentor that internship student, and that knowledge of that student will grow. So that's my discussion today on the topic of content and lecturers. Unfortunately, the industry, the colleges today, to me, is not up to standard, and that is also why once companies take in students or take in young people, or even with diplomas, they always give them a 3-month probation. They will never just give them a full-time employment, employ them as a full-time worker. They'll always first put them on a 3-month contract or a paid internship, because they have to make sure that the person that's applying for the job can actually do it, because there's so many lies on CVs as well. People say they're qualified for things that they are not even qualified for. So that is what I would like to say. That is why I started last year my little college, because I wanted to be different. I wanted to make sure that the content is relevant, that the lecturers are good, that each student, not just half of the student, walk away at the end of the year knowing the content and the programs very well, by having the resources available to them, and having the right internships for them as well, and having the best lecturers. So I can say with pride that the best graphic design lecturer you'll get is myself and Grant, who comes with a wealth of experience. Myself being in Media 24 all my life, and Grant being in advertising agency, working for major advertising agencies like Saatchi and Ogilvy. And Ivan, who's teaching my CAD, he's had more than 10 years experience in the industry, working late at night and really helping my students. He's been teaching for me for over 5 years, and that knowledge can never be replaced. So I believe that the student needs a solid ground, a solid platform, and then they will grow and excel and flourish. But if you put them at a college and the content is poor or irrelevant, and the lecturers are too young or not good enough or lack experience, then they're not going to have the learning that they require for the industries. So yes, thank you very much for this discussion. Please drop me an email at info@calvinbusiness.co.za and give me your views as a student, a parent, anybody interested in education, and see if you agree or don't agree. And we can discuss it, because it's really, I'm passionate about young people and their futures, especially with South Africa being at an unemployment rate of 27%. We need to bridge the gap from the young person to actually getting into the job environment and start earning money. Right, so once again, thanks for watching, and let's stay connected.